looking at your stroke, the first thing I really liked actually is your body position. Your head position is really nice coming through here. I've slowed it down, this isn't your swimming speed, so don't worry. But yeah, just coming through here. Maybe slightly over-rotating then when you're taking a breath.
Oh, right.
But that is linked on to your rotation through your shoulders, so we're going to come on to that as well. But you can just see here when you're breathing, like that here is like your here is like your optimum, like there. That is where your head would be.
Yeah.
That's if it was perfect, but you can see here that you have actually rotated quite a bit more before you get to the optimum.
Oh, yeah.
And just here, it's just lifting slightly.
Yeah, it's a bit higher.
Now, everything we do in swimming, I always use my trusty drinks bottle, although this one's been leaking, so it's going to the bin today. But everything we do in swimming, we want to be in as much of this position as possible. Okay? If you lift your head at all, what you'll find is you have a central buoyancy, and it likes to sit around your midriff, around your belly button. Now, naturally, as you're moving, it will move around slightly. But what will happen is if your head lifts, or if you're creating up thrust under the water, we'll come on to that in a bit, something has to give to keep that central buoyancy to stop you coming upright. Now that normally is legs sinking. Now people say to me, I've got sinky legs. And I'm like, have you seen these big legs? Like if these can stay at the surface, anyone's can stay at the surface. So we just need to be a little bit cautious. But in terms of the rest of it, I was really happy with kind of head position and body position in the water. That's really nice. And you're keeping it very straight in between strokes, which is really nice. Okay. Coming through here. Now, let's just rewind this a little bit. One of the things that we're going to work on, first of all, is the position that your hand comes into the water at the front of your stroke. Okay. Okay, now, everything that happens comes around that centre point, but what we don't want is ever anything from this half going into that half and vice versa. Now, the second thing also is going back to that biomechanics. If I said to you, there's, I don't know, what's that, 8-foot wall, and you can't rest your elbows on the wall, you would not bring your hands in here and try and push yourself up over that wall. No. You would get them slightly outside the shoulders, elbows would come up, you would push into it, you would use your lats, and you would push down. That's where you're at the strongest. Now that's exactly what we want when we're swimming, to replicate that, because that's where you're at strongest. Now, one of the things that you're doing is, I'll show you from the top, let's see where. Okay, so...
Oh yeah, crossover, look at that.
So your centre line is there. And your hand is coming in around that. Now, what also is happening is it's following. That's why you're moving from side to side. So you're moving not so much with this, with your left hand, but your right arm especially. And then, because it's so dominant, that's why you're moving one side to the pump to the other side of the pump to one side of the pump, because it's literally pulling you. Look at that. I see, look at that. So if this here is your centre line, let's come through here. So that's your spine. This is a little bit of a fisheye lens, but at the same time it's... So if that is your centre line about there, you can see the angle's really coming in. Now, one of the things that I find a lot with everybody, myself included, is the perception of what your body's doing and what it's actually doing. Now, imagine this turned over, that was me on backstroke. I was entering here. Really? And my coach was like, what are you doing? Why? And I was like, what do you mean? And I would have put down my Olympic medal that I was entering here. He videoed me, and I was literally like, because in my mind, this was this. So for you, when we in a minute get you to do swimming wide, you're going to be feeling that you're out here. But if you think that your 12 o'clock is really 10 o'clock, so when you feel that you're out at 2 o'clock, it's going to be 12 o'clock. It's actually 12 o'clock. So kind of, that's really important, because I have a lot of people saying, no, I'm swimming out like this, I'm swimming out like this. And I'm like, it's perfect how you're swimming. It's just about the perception of what you're doing, the reality of what you're doing, me helping to put those back into. So this is going to be the real first thing that we work on. Now, another thing, I don't know, do you ever have any shoulder injuries or any shoulder pain? Or
I do, yeah.
You do? Both here at the front?
Well, I tend to get it in the back of here, and especially I tend to find it on the bike. It gives me a little bit of numb hands sometimes.
Through here. Now, the reason I ask is because I think you can probably see it at the front as well. You're entering massively from first. Now, you said what you're taught to do And I was taught thumb first entry.
Yeah.
Now, I've spent many 100 hours on a physio table for bad shoulders, and I didn't know this until I retired from swimming, which is a shame because it's what actually caused me to retire from swimming. But I know when I went to the physio, the first test for tendonitis of the bicep head tendon, so here, is thumb down, and they'll get you to put pressure. And they will test the strength of you pushing down. Now, the biomechanics behind that is basically real quick shoulder anatomy lesson. You have a tendon that sits in a joint. Okay, it sits like that, the tendon runs through it. Now, happy days, it runs up and down like that. Now, what happens is when you put your thumb first, the way that your shoulder's designed is it squashes that tendon. And then when you're moving it through a smaller space. Now, what happens, your body has this really weird mechanism. If something rubs on bone, it grows more bone to protect it. So you'll get a spur of bone that will grow, and it will rub on a tendon, and then it will do what mine did, just ruin your shoulders. So one of the big ways to look after your shoulders in swimming is to get rid of the thumb first entry, take it out of impingement. So impingement basically means squashing the tendon, and putting it into fingers first, flat entry. So like you're posting a letter for a letterbox. So this is the first thing we're going to be working on, this front part here. Now, I always say the finer the movement, the less muscles involved, so from here to here, the harder it is. Okay, when we come onto rotation, there's it's gross motor movements, it's huge muscles. It's easier because they all tend to work together. But when you're just highlighting one, they can be a bit tricksy. Okay, so we'll have a look. That's the first thing we're going to work on. So those kind of tagged team together, and then your head as well. Okay, now under the water. Let's see where I go under the water. Here we go. Lovely. Now I really like this body position. This is a spectacular body position for, honestly, really, really nice. Now, you can see that you've got a strong core because you're holding that body position, even though you've got a little bit of kind of insecurity in your stroke. You've got a strong through here. Now, I just want you to watch this arm. Remember what I said about moving the water behind you? So let's have a look here. Coming down, 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 there. It's here, and even then, your hand is there. So this part of your arm is your paddle. So what you've done is you've created a really tiny paddle. And that might be that you've had some shoulder injury, and that's the natural thing to do, is to make the paddle smaller. You won't even know you're doing it. I did it when my shoulder's bad, and my coach was like, "You're swimming like this," and I did not know I was doing it. But it's less resistance, therefore less pain. So we're gonna, not today, but we're gonna work on this. Can you just see though how your top half has risen up slightly? And that's because you've literally created up thrust. By pushing down. And it's when you get to here, you're just coming under the body slightly, but when you come to here, that's when you start pushing that water back. Same with this arm. Now, what's kind of making everything a little bit more unstable is the amount of rotation. So you're coming here, that your head's flat in the water there, so you're not breathing. But coming through here, now I can see your whole back. Your whole back and your hips. Now, because I can see your whole back, but your hips are still at a slight angle, that shows me that you're shoulder dominant. The rotation's being created through the shoulders, and your hips are driving because they are followed by your abdomen. Now, in swimming, there's 3 reasons why we rotate. Number 1 reason, if we're flat in the water, our arm enters here and it exits there, so we can move that much water. Now watch where my hand goes when I put some rotation in. It goes from here to here, and then there to there. But what's happening with you is you've got an optimum, and that's 90 degrees of rotation, so 0 to 45, 0 to 45. What you're doing is you're coming in here, you get into your 45, that's not quite enough for you at the minute, and you're trying to get a little bit more. Now, once you get to the most you're going to reach, you're never going to get any more. So if you rotate here, it's wasted energy, you're becoming inefficient. Reason number 2, going back onto the muscle groupings, you've got lovely strong lats, I can see them here. They start here and they insert across there. Now, if you're at an angle at 45 degrees, here, this engages, so that's where that power comes in that catch phase. If you go more than that, you put pressure through the front of the shoulder, and you're weaker. You're using your pecs and I can feel it engaging here because it pecs this morning, through here, and a bit of biceps. Okay. So you're using quite weak muscles. Now the third reason, and the reason that we need to rotate from here rather than through here, is a rotational movement creates forward momentum. It's in propellers, in cars, it's called torque.
Yeah.
And it's that movement that helps you drive through the water.
Okay.
But you only get that by engaging the core, because it's the core that holds everything together.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're doing it from here, you're not going to get that, and I'll show you how and why in a minute when we're in the water. But this is really easy. All of these things are kind of, the hardest thing is going to be the arms.
Yeah.
But we can do it. All of these things that I'm saying are, they look a lot, they might sound really complicated, but when we boil them down, they're actually quite easy to change. Timing, very difficult to change. So if you had a real catch up to your stroke, that would be very hard to change. Okay. But these things, they're good, so don't stress. I really like, so let's just take this here. This is, this makes me happy, okay? Good. So I always say, imagine in swimming, you want to sit in like a big toilet roll, basically, a big cylinder around your body. Yeah. Now take your arms out of that. Everything else you want to be inside of that cylinder. I've named it the cylinder of efficient swimming.
Oh, well, there you go.
So anything that breaks that, it slows you down. So here at the moment, the only thing that's breaking that is this part here of your leg. Yeah. Now I have some people whose hips are here and then their legs are down there. So you can see that'll be really, really slowing them down. Now you're holding this position with that push down at the front. Okay. So that means that you've got a really good sense of buoyancy, but it means you've got a really good control through here. Okay. So then when we come onto the rotation, you'll be able to pick it up straight away. Okay. So just kind of watching through here. Now the leg kick, I'm not going to work on it today because for me, legs is not an afterthought, but unless there's something drastic going on, your legs produce less than 5% propulsion. Yeah, okay? I
spend a lot with the float. I don't even use my legs.
You just want them to be there ticking over, especially if you're doing triathlon. Yeah. You don't want to be wasting your energy from that. The only thing I would say is bring them in a little bit towards the end, so when you get out into transition, you don't go lightheaded. I don't know if you suffer from that, but some people
do actually a little bit.
Yeah. Funny enough, what happens is your blood goes to the working muscles, arms, chest, back, abdomen. When you then go from in this position to this position, it's like the vascular shunt happens. The blood goes, oh my goodness, my legs need me now. The blood goes, ooh, I don't need it in my arms, I need it in my legs. It makes you lightheaded. So if you coming into the last 100, 200 meters, just bring 5 seconds hard kick, do it maybe twice. Your legs are nice and full of blood. So when you stand up, it's already traveling around here. Just coming. Walk around the pool side. Okay, coming through here. Now the reason that I did this is because can you see how much you're rotating there? So like if I was to draw a line there, so that's 0 to there, that's not quite 90, but it's very close. Yeah, it's close, it's about 85.
Yeah. Now I always thought I didn't rotate enough, isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's funny your perceptions. Now we want you to be down here with that rotation. Okay, so it's literally going to be half, but it's fine because reining in rotation is quite easy, so. So this is kind of what's happening, and this arm has come under the body because of that rotation. Yeah. So it's trying to anchor you. You've just become a little bit unstable coming through here through that rotation, and this is thinking, "Oh, hang on a minute, we've gone a bit too much. I don't need to flip over." So it's holding you in that position. Okay. So you've definitely got massive good points to your stroke. Lovely out exhaling under the water, really good. And there's definitely things you can tighten up. So what I'm going to do is I'm